Thank you so much. It's so nice to be with you. And today, the theme of our conversation is responsibility or showing up. So thank you for all of you that showed up. You are showing your responsibility. We need to know that many people never or seldom experience the joy of knowing who they are, where they are going, and what they therefore need to focus on every day. So choosing a Brightstar lifestyle is to choose joy, live with excellence and significance, and win at work and life. So to show up, that's an interesting statement. We need to show up in our lives. And therefore, we need to embrace the foundational principle of taking responsibility for our own lives. And only I can take the responsibility of my thoughts and my daily decisions. Then only can I even consider showing up for others. Brene Brown said, "The willingness to show up changes us. It makes us a little braver each time." So we need to show up. We will never have enough joy if we wait for other people to make us happy. If we are sitting waiting for the spoon to come to make us happy, we will never experience enough joy and happiness. We need to take the spoon to have a bite and to have the experience of taking responsibility and showing up. So for many people, everything is someone else's fault. Sad to say, but it's the reality. Every problem can be explained away with reasons why they can't change the situation or the outcome. Especially that can happen at work, where it's easy to find excuses because people are so closely intertwined. So every product, we see there's a chain of people who are dependent on others in the chain. So it's very easy to say, this was not me. I don't take responsibility. Jeff Olson said, he's an author and entrepreneur, showing up is essential. Showing up consistently is powerful. Showing up consistently with a positive outlook is even more powerful. So taking responsibility is essential if we want to show up. If you want your team to show up at 8 o'clock, you need to be there at 7:45. If you want your kids to learn good habits from you, you have to show them how it's done. The question might pop up, what will happen if I don't take responsibility? And we can have a long discussion about that, but just for a basic answer, we will most likely look at our lives and our careers as a failure because we allowed any passing wind to blow us around, all the while blaming the wind for how things turned out. When we don't take responsibility, we create the stage for a miserable life where no dreams are fulfilled. Taking responsibility or to show up is hard work, but it's nice work because you won't be blown by the wind all the time. There are things that we can take responsibility for, that we can actually control, and then there are some things that we cannot control. We try, but we cannot even take responsibility for that. And that, to understand the difference between the two really will empower us. So we cannot control or therefore take responsibility for the weather. You cannot do anything about that. But how other people think and react is also something that we cannot take control of. What others think of you, you cannot control that. Your circumstances, you cannot control. And a lot of times we experience illnesses that we cannot control. There's things that happen to us that we cannot take the control over. But luckily, there are things that we can control. So we can control our own thoughts. Last week we spoke about thoughts. We can take the responsibility to choose to take that control back. We can control our own attitude. We can control our perspectives, how we look at things, how we look at life. We can take control of the words that we use, focusing on the right word for the right moment. We can control our reactions to our circumstances if we cannot control the circumstances. We can control our reaction and our thought patterns towards the illnesses that we experience if we cannot control the illness. Every day we can take more and more responsibility. We show up for ourselves, and only then can we try to show up for others. I want to share some habits with you that we can use to take this control back. The one is listen to your own words. Are you blaming people and things when things go wrong? Beware of making excuses. Excuses for failures, excuses about your choices, excuses about your accomplishments or your lack thereof. It feels dysfunctional thinking and consequently undesirable results. Nathan Crane gave us a very good tip. He's a health expert and he suggests that every day you actually need to look in the mirror, and he suggests 2 times per day while you're brushing your teeth. So show up for yourself by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I actually love you. I take responsibility for you. I take responsibility for your health. I will be patient with you. I hope you hear that from your own voice sometimes for yourself. I will help you. I will be patient while you are practicing new habits, while you take time to work through your grief. I won't give up on you. What a very practical tip. Showing up for ourselves is actually a great tool as an antidepressant. Show up at the doctor if you don't feel well. Show up to a mentor or a coach if you need a hand. While showing up, why don't you do it with some flair? Arrive in your own story. Discover your own uniqueness. William Bailey said, showing up is like 90% of the battle. Just make sure that while you do it, your hair looks great. Let's have a bit of a discussion. I cannot actually wait for our discussion today, because when we say, I take responsibility for my life, I will show up for myself so that I can show up for others. We actually sometimes need to say it out loud, and we sometimes have tips that we experienced in our lives that will help us. Maybe a habit that you've learned, or a thought pattern that you think and experience really helps. Please share with us, what do you think when we say, take responsibility for your life? What have you experienced that works? I can see you are still thinking. Margot.
I actually heard something on the radio this morning, and that was actually so true. I'll have to think of saying it in English, but it's basically saying, if you were your best friend, the conversations that I'm having with me as my best friend, that friend would have not been my friend any longer because of what I say to myself. So take responsibility for the words you use. I thought that was quite valuable.
That is a great, great tip. Thank you.
So who are you friends with? Are you friends with yourself? Would you say the same things to yourself? I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah. This is powerful. Thank you, Margot. Someone else, our thoughts, our habits. How can we help and bless each other with some tips on saying, I will show up and I can show up for others? Anyone? Shani.
Amanda, I think that sometimes we're too impatient with ourselves. So when we show up, if I look at myself, I want to show up and feel what I would feel after I've been through the process. So I want my emotion to be positive just by showing up. And that isn't really what happens. Sometimes you need to struggle through this thing and the discussion, especially if it's a crucial conversation with yourself, as Margot said. And then you won't perhaps from the beginning have this positive attitude, but you need to get through that. As you said, it's not only by showing up and having a very nice hairdo, but perhaps, having the emotions under the arm and not necessarily in the heart at that stage.
So much. That was definitely tongue-in-cheek, that your hair needs to look nice when you show up, because showing up is what it's all about. Thank you, Shani. I see, Pastor Harry, you says, may your rock bottom be on top. So thank you so much. That is really inspirational. Someone else?
May I say something? I think showing up sometimes is showing up in your mind, because we're so sometimes busy with lots of other things that we don't realize that there's a person in our midst that we can give attention to. So showing up can also be aware of this moment and this person that wants your attention. Not always being busy with your mind in another place.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for that contribution. Because a lot of us sometimes hear that people say that you are so lucky. You get so many opportunities, or you get growth opportunities, but you need to go and get it. You need to show up for the opportunity. So thank you. Being in the moment already helps a lot. Pastor Harry.
Yes, hi everybody. I think about the prodigal son in the Bible. The Bible says when he came to himself, when he came to his senses, he said, I will go back to my father and say, make me your servant. Previously he went and he said, give me. But when he came to his senses, he took responsibility for himself. And he said, now I'll go to my father and say, I'm not worthy to be your son. Make me a servant. Yeah. So I think, the attitude has changed from give me to make me, from selfishness to just serving. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's amazing. Raylene, seems you have something that you can add.
Oh, no, I just want to say our 15 minutes off up. That's what I wanted to say. We hope you got your spark for the week, and that will help you to take responsibility to show up in your mind, in your body, and in your life.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Oh. Enjoy your day. Show up, eh?